Sorry, it was Matt.
Cameron,
sorry,
Yeah,
Cameron.
yeah.
Right?
It's all right.
So, are you relatively new then in the store?
Yeah, 7 weeks.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so about nearly 2 months. Not that new, but yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, I mean, really like the idea, because I haven't been in your store for. I don't remember if I've been in your store. Was just to come and go through like brand history and like a bit of kind of products and tech and kind of things like that.
Okay.
And just really give you like a good introduction to kind of the spring summer range that you guys are going to have in. How much do you already kind of know about the brand or kind of the products?
My other half has got one of the jackets, and that's kind of when I first started to notice the brand making its awareness in the UK, because obviously it's a German brand. So I know that that's its heritage. In terms of its quality, I don't know much about the manufacture processes and like how many checks it has and its kind of quality checks and things like that. Because I know Bridgedale really, like the socks are really good at doing that.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure where that stands, and then I'm not sure much about the membrane, like the waterproofing and stuff they use. Like obviously Gore-Tex is the huge one. I know quite a lot about the Columbia stuff as well. Yeah, that's kind of
I mean, that tends to be what we find. You say you have speech Germans as well.
Yeah.
Have you ever been over to like
Yeah.
Because huge in Germany.
Yeah.
Germany, Austria, Switzerland are kind of the three really big markets for us.
Yeah.
So if you just go by sales volume, which is a bit businessy really, but we're the largest outdoor brand in Europe in terms of kind of overall sales.
Wow, the whole of Europe, or just
Wow. So we're a huge company in Europe. We're about the fourth largest in the world in terms of kind of overall sales as well. But the UK is still quite a new market for us, so we've always been here in kind of a small way since the 80s with like small independents and kind of a few retailers who carry bits and pieces. But 2010 was where we really kind of invested in the UK market. So we opened up a couple of stores in London. We've got a store in Birmingham, kind of up north as well.
just solely Jack Wolfskin.
Just solely Jack Wolfskin, yeah. And then we started doing things like, I don't know if you're a football fan, but you watch like Liverpool play and we do like all the big advertising.
Ah, great, yeah. Because Sports out to Columbia have just done that for Man U, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
Kind of a bit of a mixed message, I think.
It is a bit strange. I didn't understand it. So I came to Jack Wolfskin from like a. Hello, mate.
I thought I'd just record it, so put it on the chat or something. Yeah.
I came from like working in an independent store where I've been selling like outdoor gear for years, doing like expedition kit and stuff. And then,
Nice.
Like I went to Jack Wolfskin because the store was working closed down, and our old manager opened up the first Jack Wolfskin store. When they started doing the football advertising, I was like, I don't really like get it, because we're supposed to be an outdoor brand.
Yeah.
And we're advertising to like football stadiums, kind of all of this. And the big reason that we did it, particularly with Liverpool, was just to raise kind of the brand awareness for us. Sure. Because whilst we're big in Europe, we did some research over here, and it was less than 1% of people who recognised the name or the corporate. Yeah. So it was all about just literally brand awareness. People go, oh, Jack Wolfskin, what is that? And what we found is on match days, like we've got match day in the evening and stuff, our like Google searches would go from like kind of below kind of hundreds maybe to like 20,000-30,000 people.
That was incredible, just from one advert.
Yeah.
Money well spent then.
And it also, because it's the Premier League and it's international, also helps in like kind of the Far East markets and stuff like that. So it wasn't immediately like a kind of, I suppose, like a product message, like, people who go to football should buy waterproof jackets, but it was much more about just getting kind of as much exposure for kind of the brand name as possible.
Yeah.
So we then went out to loads more Premier League clubs, and we've kind of scaled it back a lot more now, and it's just really Liverpool that we work with.
Nice.
And lots of the money we'd spend there is now going into things like advertising in Track and Mountain and Trail, and kind of sponsoring events. Because we've kind of hit a point where it's about 20-30% brand awareness, so we've got something to kind of build on.
Yeah, that's a nice foundation.
So to go through kind of just the like history of Jack Wolfskin, to give you an idea where we came from. Brand actually started out by mistake. In 1980, there was our founder, a guy called Dowsey, was doing some kind of summer work for his uncle, who ran like a hunting and fishing supply store. And there was a big trade fair, and Dalzine went to work there over the weekend. And across from where kind of they had their stall, there was a guy come across from one of the Far East factories to kind of sell his gear. And he hadn't realised it was a hunting and fishing fair. He thought it was like an outdoor kind of show. So he came along with loads of brightly coloured jackets and kind of synthetic sleeping bags and lots of stuff which traditional hunting and fishing people just like not interested in, like bright colours and kind of new fabrics and things. Just wasn't their scene. So this guy basically stands there for 4 days, sells nothing, and he's got all these boxes he's got to take back. And over the weekend, Dalzine's been kind of talking to him and kind of getting to know him a little bit. And at the end of the trade fair, he goes to his uncle and says, listen, if you can give me a loan, I'll buy all of this guy's gear and I'll sell it through the university, so like the climbing club and kind of stuff like that there.
Wow.
So his uncle gives him a loan, he goes and buys all this stuff. And,
is this the 1980s, yeah?
Yeah.
It's not long ago then, really.
No. I mean, it's 1981 officially we were founded, which is still like 35 years, but compared to like Low Alpine and the North Face and going from kind of the 60s, we're like the second wave of kind of outdoor brands. Kind of really like that. So he buys all this stuff, he starts selling it from the back of his truck at his kind of uni, and does really well with it. Sells it all and then puts in a second order, and he starts making kind of just little tweaks and stuff to the kind of design and what he wants on there. Get a second order, sells it through again, and he starts to kind of brand the products. Before we were Jack Wolfskin, we were officially first called Hobbit Outdoors.
Hobbit?
Hobbit Outdoors, yeah. In fact, the logo was a cannabis leaf.
No way.
Like the whole uni connection, I guess, and things like that.
Bit more free time, haven't they, students?
So he does this a few times, then he starts getting a couple of his mates involved, and they start kind of having a look at improving some of the designs. And they took a look at the market, and one of the things that there wasn't was you had lots of kind of top-end gear, so really kind of high-end alpine gear, and then you had lots of kind of less expensive stuff. There wasn't that much in the middle because brands like North Face hadn't really come over and established in kind of Germany yet. So they wanted to bring in what they called a mid-premium brand. And so they started putting together designs for better jackets and kind of more expensive bits of gear. And they went across to Canada to decide on kind of like what the business strategy would be and kind of all of that aspect of it. And where the brand name comes from is they were sat around the camp one night making some decisions about what they were going to call it. And one of the guys was reading a book called Call of the Wild by Jack London, which is wrote a book called White Fang as well. And it's about this dog called Buck who ends up in the Alaskan wilderness and kind of goes a bit mad and a bit feral over there. And they wanted the brand to not sound particularly German, but to sound kind of quite universal and easy to pronounce and all these things. And the guy was like, well, why don't we take Jack as kind of a good starting point for the brand name? And the legend goes, they're going, okay, we need to call it Jack something. And in the background are wolf howls. And like, oh, Jack Wolfskin. And then they're kind of trying to come up with a logo. There is a slight element of pinch of salt to the story. Trying to think about coming up with a logo. And so they go out on a hike kind of in the morning. And being from a country where they're not particularly used to bears, they'd gone and left all the food in kind of the tents and stuff. Came back to the camp and it had been trashed by a bear.
Really bad, isn't it?
And what they saw in the ground, like obviously terrible, you've lost your stuff, but what they saw in the ground were loads of big kind of footprints.
Nice.
And they were just like, oh, like paw print and wolf paw and Jack Wolfskin kind of.
That's a great story.
It's a good story, isn't it?
Yeah, really.
And that's where the brand was born. So it was interesting you talking about kind of not knowing too much about the quality of the brand. It's always an important question, like with outdoor kit.
It's all about quality and longevity with me. Like I've kind of with the Gore-Tex, and I like it, and I worked in the outdoors for a few years, and it was great. But if I had to pay the full whack, I probably wouldn't buy it because we had it like ridiculously reduced, like 70% off. And like the membrane seems to, like once the chemicals have been washed off, like it seems to kind of just sit on it. The moisture, it doesn't really bead off anymore, which is what I really like. So
I mean the building block for us, kind of where the brand starts, and when all our designs are done in house. We've got a massive design team. We've probably got the largest research and development team in any outdoor brand. So we don't just go to a factory and buy a jacket and stitch our logo on everything. It starts and ends with kind of our design team.
That's nice.
The starting point for everything, it doesn't matter whether it's like a kid's backpack for school or whether we're designing mountaineering boots or kind of high-end shells or tents. It all starts with the quality of what we produce, and that's what the brand is built on. And being a German brand, you kind of quality over there.
Yeah,
They're not kind of motivated so much by like price. It's all about they call it value perception. So when you're buying something that costs a bit more, in theory you should be getting something that lasts
better.
longer and performs better. Kind of all these
That's how I look at things.
So our design process, you'll notice that you won't see things like Gore-Tex labels on our jackets, and we don't use any like Primaloft or Vertex or any of the big labels you tend to see on other brands. And the decision was made a while back that we'd take it all in-house in terms of kind of fabric development. And part of the reason for that was that it gives us a bit more control over everything, because you have to get licensed by what sort of work you do, they have to approve it and all this stuff. It makes complete sense, because they then go and put their logo on it, and people buy it because of that. So they need to make sure that what they're selling with their name on is kind of quality and matches their needs. The problem being that it then adds time and it adds cost to the production process, and it takes some of your control away. So we brought it all in-house, and part of the money that we save by not working with people like kind of Gore-Tex and Pertex, we reinvest back into the product itself. So what you end up with is something which, although it doesn't have the brand name on there, gives you performance, gives you protection, but you're not paying kind of the price premium for it. So it also means that we control our quality production on the process as well. So everything we do is quality controlled and assessed by us. So it's all in-house, which means that we know we can guarantee by the time the product hits the stores that it's not going to come back to you with faults and things like that. So it's a really strict production process, which I'll touch on a bit at the end as well, where it makes sense. So in terms of spring-summer products that you guys have got, mostly what you're going to see is from two of our kind of product ranges. One is our everyday outdoor range, and that's mostly our, think of it as like more urban, casual style stuff. So in winter it's big cozy parkas and comfy kind of like fashion style fleeces.
The fleeces are very popular. I'm not sure if it's because they're reduced, but...
Oh, yeah, I just, when we touch on fleeces, there's one which the price is just stupid out with you guys at the minute. And the other range is a hiking and trekking range, and that tends to be our biggest product range in terms of what people see in the UK. So we're not talking kind of top level mountaineering or kind of mountain biking. We've got an active trail range, we've got an alpine range. It's for your average everyday or average outdoor user in the UK, who tends to be, they'll wear their stuff to and from work on bad days, and then out with the dogs or the kids in the park, and then every weekend or every couple of weekends they're going to do like a couple of hills and like kind of countryside and stuff. So we'll always tell you on the labels, you'll always get kind of the
probably one of the densest labels of all the ones.
Yes.
The Berghaus ones are quite intense, but yours, you've got a lot of stuff on there.
Yeah, like you've always got the fabric stuff and kind of like the zip stuff and things, but it always give you kind of the product range it comes from. So it gives you, just if you know nothing else about the product, like a good idea about what we think it should be used for, and what level of kind of performance and protection you're going to get from it. So the big thing really is to talk a little bit about kind of the fabrics, because like I say, they're different from what you'll find in other brands to an extent. And obviously, when most people think about outdoor stuff, waterproofing is kind of the first thing that kind of they talk about. So, like I say, we don't use any Gore-Tex. In Europe, it's not an issue because people are used to different brands using different fabrics, and we're such a big brand that people recognise what a waterproofing is. Over here, Gore-Tex is a bit of just like a synonym. People are like, oh, Gore-Tex, everything Gore-Tex is waterproof, and therefore everything waterproof is Gore-Tex. So you must have had it if you worked in the industry for a while. You get customers coming in and going, oh yeah, I'm looking for a Gore-Tex jacket. And you're like, okay, well, you know, we've got these ones over here. They're like, no, those are like £20 little pack-away ones. And lots of customers just are looking for waterproof when they kind of say Gore-Tex. So it's a bit of a dominant kind of thing. It's like Hoover and vacuum kind of stuff. So all our waterproof fabrics are all called Texpur. So in the same way with Gore-Tex that you have kind of, at the moment it's 4 different types of Gore-Tex within the waterproof family, we have got 15 different types of Texpur within the Texpur family. So it's kind of a big range we do. For you guys, for spring summer, you have one type in store, so it makes life a little bit easier.
That's nice.
For everything. So the 15 different types we have there are basically so we can just really tailor the jacket to what level of performance and kind of what environment we think it's going to go to. And the one that you guys have got in store is it's just called Basic Texpur or Texpur 2 layer. So anyway, you see just the logo like that. It's We call it our entry-level fabric because for us it is our entry level, but it still gives most people in most outdoor situations in the UK, they use it for enough protection, enough breathability for what they're looking for. On top of that, we then build to kind of the higher level protections, kind of more breathable fabrics and kind of different finishes to it.
Do we offer more of your range on the website?
Not at the moment.
No. Okay.
So
we have a lot more technical stuff from like mountain equipment.
Yeah.
But we don't have it in store, which is annoying. And the Berghaus stuff, we seem to have a bit more technical stuff as well online.
With kind of Jack Wolfskin with blacks, kind of where we sit is very much your more kind of casual outdoor user, and that gets reflected in the product range. So what you tend not to see are kind of a higher level jackets and kind of the alpine stuff, which I would love you guys to have a shop full of Jack Wolfskin. But it's always a question of, particularly with the mountaineering side of things in the UK, there's 2 or 3 brands who are so well established, which is like Rab and Mountain Equipment, that people who kind of go mountaineering and know their products will always go to them. And so if you're going to take off like a Mountain Equipment Conga jacket and put a Jack Wolfskin jacket in, are people going to buy the Jack Wolfskin, or actually are they going to go, it's not the Mountain Equipment jacket? So it's part of the job is kind of building up the idea that actually, as well as doing, you know, parkas and nice kind of day jackets, we actually do a serious kind of performance range in there as well.
Where would be my closest establishment to get performance range?
It would be our 2 stores in London.
Really?
At the moment, yeah.
Jesus. So I'd like to see them, just to get a gauge of like the material and everything else. So I like variety, and I like the colours. Like North Face is so bland these days.
Yeah. Colour's one of the things that we do really well.
Yeah.
You guys buy a little bit of colour from us, but if you ever come to our showroom, so I was going to say in August we tend to do big training events with you guys, where we take you to our showroom, put you up in our tents, we give you like a chance to play with some of the performance gear, we take you kayaking or climbing or something.
Nice. I need to make sure I'm
keep an eye out for that, because
the
emails are going out quite soon about that actually.
Okay.
So with basic tech support, what we're looking to do is put something together which gives people reliable waterproofing, a good level of breathability, and also something that isn't incredibly expensive to produce, because like you're saying with the high level fabrics, jackets just become so expensive that for most people, for what they need, it's usually a price kind of bracket too far from.
Yeah, sure.
Do you guys tend to talk hydrostatic heads with customers at all?
Yeah, especially in the tents. A little bit on the TNF range, but I think we only have one decent North Face jacket, and then I always suggest the Berghaus, but then the Berghaus ones aren't even, like it's the Aqua something.
AQ2,
yeah. But I'm not sure if that's any good, to be honest.
So we'll always tell you on the labels, until next season when the labels change and it no longer has it on there, which is not great.
Yeah.
But at the moment, spring summer, you've got it on the label. So it's a 10,000mm hydrostatic head for kind of basic tech support.
What qualifies as waterproof? Is it 1500?
1500mm, yeah. So one of the things that can happen sometimes, and I've done it myself, and I've been working in stores, is that people kind of focus on the hydrostatic head as like the be-all and end-all of justifying the cost of the jacket.
Okay.
And so you'll get like really nice jackets come in with loads of really good features and nice fabrics and stuff, but because customers like numbers, to them, like it's worth spending money on 20,000 rather than 10,000 rather than 5,000. And so it becomes a little bit of a weird like arms
it's just to do with height though, isn't it, the number? The height of the suspension.
Yeah,
of the water.
exactly. Yeah. So it basically tells you how much water pressure the fabric can resist before something leaks through. A 10,000mm hydrostatic head is 10 metres worth of water pressure, which is more than enough for most people in most situations with kind of the level of gear that you guys have got and the type of customer you've got. High levels of hydrostatic heads are useful when people are going to be doing like extended multi-day trips in the hills, or you're carrying like loads of weight in your rucksack and you get additional pressure on the fabric, or you go to a more extreme environment. But I don't know, I'm trying to think where most of your customers might end up, like national parks, like
it's like national parks, and to be fair, we get a lot of. I'd say our demographic is definitely like 40s, 30s upwards, and then they kind of got a bit more money, so they're going to these really extreme areas. Like I had the guys like, I need an insulated jacket for an Antarctica cruise. I was like, no, we don't have anything for
He's
that.
got too much money right there.
Yeah, so I was like, well, we have this one, but So
I mean, from personal experience,
yeah.
For most people, most situations in the UK, like national parks and stuff like that,
Yeah.
you are never going to get anywhere close to 10,000 mils worth of water pressure through rain and stuff like that. So it's reliably waterproof. You obviously kind of tape and finish off all the stitching and lines on the inside, so it's fully sealed.
Okay.
Anything through. To make it waterproof, you've got you supply a polyurethane paint to the inside. So that white
paint.
stuff you see behind the mesh liner just there is PU paint, and we roll and squeeze it to kind of the inside of the face fabric. So that forms your waterproof barrier, and it means we can give somebody, like I say, something that's waterproof without being incredibly expensive. So 120 quid in the Jasper jacket there, gives you a fully waterproof jacket. The slight thing to say about Texport 2-layer, Texport Basic, is that it's not something that we ever pitch as a competitor to Gore-Tex or to Event. It sits very much alongside AQ2 and TNF High Vent in terms of both how it's made and how it performs out there. So reliable protection, bit of a Ron-Seal job, does what it says on the tin, but it's not designed for things like mountain biking or trail running or mountaineering, where you're at exposed heights or kind of producing more sweat. And yeah, the kind of, I don't want to say drawback because it's only for different customers to be, but the slight downside of the fabric compared to things like Gore-Tex is the breathability level of the fabric. So the paint finish in there is microporous, so you've got loads of those tiny holes which allow moisture vapour to move from kind of the inside to the outside. But it's what we class as basic level of breathability, so low to mid levels of activity. Again, we published the rating on there. It's a 6,000 gram MVTR, which will mean nothing to basically any customer you're going to get in the store. What it tells you is that at a minimum, in non-optimal breathability conditions, 6 litres of moisture can escape through the fabric over 24 hours.
6 litres?
6 litres,
That's quite a lot of sweat, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, it obviously depends on your own physiology and kind of what you're doing. Most people at kind of a gentle walk produce about a third of a litre of sweat over an hour. So
that's absolutely fine for that.
Yeah. So it's designed for use for a day, rather kind of like say extended trips where you're producing lots more sweat and kind of lots more heat there. And then on the outside of the fabric, we apply DWR coating, that water-resistant chemical.
What is that?
Outside. DWR. And yeah, it's just a chemical that sits on the surface, and that's what makes the water roll off like it does from kind of your skin in the shower. So as long as that's working, you'll stay dry, the fabric will breathe, and you'll end up nice and comfortable kind of on the inside. The one thing that does happen with DWRs over time is that they will either rub off or they get covered by pollution and dirt. So if you use them in cities with like car exhausts and stuff, you basically build up a mask over the top of it, and that stops that water from kind of shedding off the surface, and that's when it starts to soak into the fabric, and it starts to look sodden and kind of feel heavy. Doesn't mean the jacket's faulty, doesn't mean it needs to be replaced, it just means it needs to be cleaned and proofed again. So you guys will sell like Rangers and knickknacks in the store, and that will clean and maintain it. What will happen with the jacket when it wets out, when that fabric starts soaking up the water, is that the breathability stops working.
Yeah, exactly,
And that's when you get the customer coming back in and going, oh, my jacket's leaking, because they'll get cold and wet on the inside because their sweat's not escaping. I've worked in the outdoor industry for about 15 years now. I can count on one hand the number of times I've had actually faulty jackets come back. Not just from Wolfskin, but from multiple different brands. Most of the time when customers think they've got a problem with the waterproofing, it's just it needs cleaning and reproofing.
It's annoying though, because it's not the same. Like, I've reproofed mine a couple of times, my Summit Series North Face one, and it's just, like, from new, it just beads amazingly, and then after a while, it's just like, oh, where's that gone? I was like, okay, I've spent £7 and you do it, and it does it, but nowhere near as good. Like, they must use something completely different to what the knit wax is. Yeah,
it depends. If you ever get the Granger's guy in to train you on like their range, he'll kind of blow your mind with like the chemical side of it. The two things that can really, really help with that is, number one, to wash it and kind of reproof it as frequently as you can. Because that DWR bonds to the stuff that's already on the surface.
Okay.
So if people leave it for like a year or two, and they're wearing rucksacks and stuff, it will just eat away, and there's nothing left of new chemicals to kind of bond onto on the fabric, so it just won't work as well.
Okay.
So the more they clean it, the more they reproof it, the longer it lasts, and the better it will perform there. The other thing is the Granger's guy will tell you to use Grangers rather than wax.
I wonder why.
Like a shock horror. Because it's a closer chemical component to what we apply in the factory. And so again, it bonds better and sticks to kind of...
How have you experienced both of them? Or?
Yeah, I've used both. I prefer Grangers to Nick Wax. But to be honest, with both of them, it's more just making sure that people are using either. So give it a clean, give it a reproof. Grangers or Nick Wax will both do the job relatively well.
And do you, sorry, off topic a bit, do you wash it in the sink or in a washing machine?
It depends a bit which jacket I'm doing.
Okay.
So waterproofs like this, great in the machine. Everything we do is machine washable. So it's a good idea for people to put it on a rinse cycle first. And
I always say that.
And stuff. And then jack it in with the cleaner. Personally, I'd suggest people clean it and then reproof it with spray rather than using 2-in-1. Because one of the things you find with 2-in-1 is that the DWR coating, as well as applying to the outside, will also stick to the lining on the inside. It doesn't make a huge difference to start off with, but over time it will stop this dealing with moisture because it won't want to attract it, it won't repel it. And so the breathability will reduce on the inside of the jacket. It's gradual, it takes a long time for you to notice, but it's just like that best practice thing.
Sure.
If people can, even if the Nick Wax and Grangers things say not to heat treat, or you don't need to apply heat treatment is a good idea with them.
So just like a hairdryer then?
Yeah, hairdryer over the top. You can iron them like low setting with a tea towel on the fabric.
So what is that, post after the waterproofing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because basically it's not quite like this, but it's easy to think of DWR as just like thousands of tiny little hairs, and then the heat treatment gets them stand on end, and then that helps break the surface tension of the water and breaks it and kind of rolls it down the fabric.
Because I remember a guy who was really into his mountain air and he said, just hairdryer them, but I've never heard anybody else say that.
It's a good idea. I mean, people want to be a bit careful with them because it's a plastic, so if you put an iron on a high setting, it will melt it.
Sure.
But a couple of minutes with a hairdryer over the top, or even just on a radiator, really, really help revive and kind of lift that DWR there.
Nice. I'll have to give it a go. So, because we have the not 2-in-1, we have 2-for-1 in terms of price. So it's the wash and it's the reproof, but the separate containers, is that just as good as the Granger? Yeah.
I mean, the Granger's guy or the Nick Wax guy will both tell you to buy like their thing there.
But you're mutual.
The most important thing is just get people to clean them, get them to reproof them frequently, and it lasts much longer before much.
So if someone's, because I typically had a customer come in maybe a couple of days ago and he was like, so I want a really nice waterproof jacket. He was willing to spend a lot of money. But I don't want to be able to... I know, I'm quite keen on Columbia at the moment.
And it's a bit different from most normal waterproofing, that instead of sitting on the inside, the waterproofing sits on the outside. It's the outside layer is the waterproof membrane. Jackets look really weird.
They do, don't they? Yeah. Like almost always wet. It's like a shiny... Yeah, I thought that. I was like, that looks strange.
Columbia will say... I mean, I've never tried one, so I'm not quite sure how they go. I've heard mixed things about them. Some people have really liked them. Is because the waterproofing is on the outside, you don't need a DWR coating on it. Apart from that, conventional fabrics, this Gore-Tex, Event, everything else will always need reproofing after a while.
I see.
It takes like 10 minutes. Don't be lazy. You bought an expensive jacket, look after it. People clean their cars.
That's fair.
Jacket.
That's a good point.
So Jasper jacket, 120 quid. Hill walking jacket, you've got 4 external pockets on there, and none of these are waterproof. They all sit outside.
Sorry, I can't see them.
Just tucked away down there. You have got an inside pocket just there, and because that sits inside of the coating, fully waterproof, so that's where people kind of shove their phones and things. Textile fabric, so waterproof, breathable. You've got reinforcement areas in the jacket, so the kind of blue areas on this one are just a slightly tougher nylon to deal with rucksacks and kind of scraping against rocks and trees and stuff.
Yeah.
Fully detachable hood, so you've got a nice little zip.
Ah, nice.
It just sits away behind there.
Didn't know that.
But you can also roll them away, so you've got kind of the option for people just there. Full adjustment as well, so draw cord at the back and then the two draw cords through the seal around the front. And yeah, it's got system zip on there, so the caribou fleece, which you've got one up here, will zip into this as well, so if people want that kind of 2-in-1 kind of combination just there, you've got it. And there's just a couple of nice little kind of comfort features on there, so you've got a really nice deep collar with a nice soft fleece lining in there, so if you're out all day in it, you don't get kind of the fabric rubbing up against you. And then the sleeves have just got a nice fabric lining to them as well, so it's nice and smooth when you layer it up over everything else.
I like that.
And if it goes over skin, like over a short sleeve base though or something, it's just a more comfy fabric to have kind of next to skin there. So 120 quid. Like I say, kind of it does exactly what it says on the tin type jacket. Nice and tough, rugged, waterproof, good price for it as well. And then you've also got a more basic jacket called the Arroyo, which is in kind of the flipped colourway of this, so navy blue with an orange popware. £90, fewer features on there, hasn't got as many pockets, hasn't got the reinforcement panels.
Okay.
But for somebody who's just looking for a nice basic waterproof jacket, 90 quid gets kind of the job done from there.
Okay.
Ladies, you've got, again, you've also got the Paradise Valley.
Is that the equivalent of the Jasper or slightly worse?
It's more of kind of towards the fashion end.
Okay. Slightly more expensive.
It is slightly more expensive, yeah. So it's still the same protection in terms of waterproofing and breathability in there. The reason it's a bit pricier is because of the fabric on the outside. And one of the things that we do quite a lot of is different types of nylons on the outside of jackets. Plainer stuff like that is less expensive to produce, the kind of the almost denim look from this one here.
Yeah. Definitely a nicer looking jacket, I think.
It is, yeah. It's a really nice fabric. It's got a bit of kind of like a softer, more natural feel to it as well. And particularly with ladies, what we find is they don't like kind of the rough, tough feel of kind of some of the nylons that we use, because it is a bit stiffer and it does feel a bit more kind of rustly when you're using it. So it just gives you a softer finish. Still got some nice features in there: a couple of external pockets, an internal pocket, fleece line collar, and again detachable hood just on the outside there. So, like with the colour on the Jasper, it's probably something that will get bought more for proper outdoors use. Paradise Valley is probably something that gets picked up a bit more for in the park with the kids or out walking the dogs and kind of that level there. It is a black solely product, so it's a special makeup for you guys.
Okay.
So you're the only people who've got this kind of in the stores just there. I think you've got like a pinky version of it as well. You're always going to have a pink jacket from us, unfortunately. Your buyers just go, yeah, something in pink. But the blue's quite nice.
Was that what our buyers say? Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's if you look at the figures, pink always sells for ladies. It's always an interesting discussion with us because we do a huge range of colours, and we pay quite a lot for the colour design agency we work with. And then buyers will come up to our showroom, not just from you guys, from other companies, and we'll be like, oh, we've got this in this lovely teal and, this kind of orange here. And I'm like, yeah, perfect. I look at my figures, oh, pink. But the question is, does pink sell because that's what people want? Or is it just that that's what you guys tend to range in store in terms of colour? So is it like the horse leading the cart or the cart leading the horse when it comes to it?
Yeah, sure.
We'd love to get more colour everywhere. Like Europeans buy colour, and in the UK,
yeah, I've noticed that.
We're way more conservative. It's changing a bit as younger people kind of buy more outdoor stuff. But yeah, black, navy for men, black and pink for women by far they're like 60-70% of sales volume in the UK.
It's gross because I always want a bright jacket, but
yeah. I mean, there's two things I have. Number one is like I'm terrible at navigation, so I might get lost quite easily. So for me, having bright stuff's great. It's like if I fall down, somebody will see me.
There's there's a really nice insulated Columbia one. It's like a turquoise blue, like really bright, and it's half price on the Black's website. It's like 600 fill, and it's really really cool.
I'm such a fan of colour. Like, I just wherever. I mean, my other thing about colour is when you get your photos back from the trip, like particularly if you're in very rocky places where it's like this kind of blue grey background, and then it's neutral earthy tones in the outdoors anyway. It's the vanity side of things. It's like, I look awesome in that red jacket right there. Like, it's just that kind of doing the business type stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for the Jasper's the brightest colour you've got, and actually it looks really good once it's on. Like, it could be one of these products where people look at it and go, it's quite bright, and it is quite bright. But once people get it on, it's got a really nice kind of tone to it. So everything you've got from us waterproof wise is tech support, and then it's just different fabrics and slightly different features to it. The same level of protection. You've got a couple of soft shells in from us.
Quite a few.
So, Muddy Pass jacket. This is our classic soft shell. It's the best-selling Jack Wolfskin soft shell ever. And it's...
Since the 80s?
Since the 80s, yeah. It's been in the range for like 10 years now. And if anything survives that long with us, it's because people buy a lot of it.
Is this bigger in Europe, obviously?
Yeah. Although actually it does really, really well in the UK. So first thing to say is last year you guys had a special makeup version of this just for blacks, which was £140, which was £150, £125 this season. So prices come down a bit on it, and it's actually a better jacket, technically. So we've got two different types of soft shell fabrics in here. We've got one called Flex Shield, which is...
So this is all in-house again then?
All in-house, yeah. So it's a super, super stretchy soft shell. It's what we call a stretch woven finish. So it's water repellent and it's wind resistant, but it doesn't have a plastic barrier in there. It's wind resistant because of how densely we weave the fibres together in there. So that forms kind of a...
How would you compare it to Windwall?
Windwall is fully windproof, technically. This is wind resistant.
Okay, so not as strong.
Yeah, so days like today, if you're out in the hills, you might get a breeze kicking out. People know it's nice weather, you start to get a bit chilly. That's when stretch woven soft shells are really nice to pop over the top. The advantage of stretch woven over membrane soft shells is because they don't have that plastic lining, they're much, much more breathable fabrics, so they breathe like a fleece does rather than membrane soft shells, which are much more like waterproofs. So if you were to chuck a waterproof jacket over the top of a stretch woven fabric, you wouldn't have two layers of plastic for moisture to get through, so it maintains the breathability of kind of the whole system. With the Muddy Pass, so yeah, Flex Shield, stretch woven soft shell around the sides, the arms, and then across the back as well. And so you get a really nice freedom of movement with it, fabric feels nice. On the front two panels, so on this side and this side, we've used our membrane soft shell, which is called Storm Lock. So Flex Shield always stretchy, wind resistant, water resistant. Storm Lock is membrane and windproof, so much more like Windwall or kind of Polytech wind block and stuff like that.
Okay.
Reason it's in the front two panels is the Muddy Pass was originally designed as a mountain biking jacket, and so the idea is if you're hurtling downhill, the areas where you're going to want the most wind protection across the front, just here.
Sure.
And then where you're going to want some breathability and freedom of movement is kind of the shoulders and the arms and stuff. Honestly speaking, most people in the UK, most places I see this jacket is outside the pub, because it's a nice looking jacket, it doesn't look too outdoorsy, and people just wear it every day, so it'll sit by the door.
Yeah, because I don't know, something about the name doesn't say mountain biking jacket. I don't know what it is. It's not very aggressive.
What, Muddy Pass?
Maybe not the model, but yeah, just Jack Wolfskin. Like I know quite a few guys who mountain bike a lot, and I've never seen them in Jack Wolfskin.
We used to make our own bikes.
Oh, right.
We used to do touring bikes, we did like panniers and all the accessories and stuff like that. We don't do that anymore, unfortunately. So you've got a couple of external pockets, like I said, a fully windproof front. And then you've just got, again, inside pocket with a little headphone port just there. And then in the hood you've got a little tuck away fabric hood just there, in the collar, sorry. So again, it's not fully waterproof.
No, just a bit.
But yeah, if you're kind of out in the hills and you get caught in a rain shower, it just gives you a little bit of kind of cover just there. So updated jacket from last year, and 25 quid cheaper than it was.
And you say it's technically better?
Technically better, yeah.
Interesting.
You might still have a couple of the ones from last year kicking around. If you get a chance to have a feel of the face fabric just on the front, you feel the difference between the two of them. so 25 quid less, and you get much more much more from the jacket there as well. You've got a more basic soft shell. It's the men's torn gap, which again is a special makeup for you guys. 100 quid. I imagine that price will drop. I know that price will drop. Think about
I know the future.
is we bring them in at a certain price and then they'll get reduced to kind of clear body as the season goes on. So these normally end up about 70 quid from there. Again, it's flexible fabric in there, so no membrane, wind resistant, water resistant, and then we just apply a bonded fleece to the inside as well. So it just gives you a bit more of a cosy feel than you get with the muddy pads. And again, just a nice jacket for kind of everyday use. And because you've got the fleece in there, it's quite nice to have as like an autumn winter fleece as well.
The fleece and zip out, it's just no.
Fully bonded to the inside, yeah. No hood to it, a couple of outside pockets, so a relatively basic kind of design to it. But again, it doesn't look too much like kind of a mountaineering jacket. It looks much more like kind of an everyday style. So we do huge numbers of these over the season.
It's very smart as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Smart jacket.
Well, because it's something that outdoor brands have got better at recently. Is traditionally you could either have ugly outdoor kit, which performed very well but didn't look very nice, or you could have fashion stuff which may look great but didn't give you kind of any sort of protection and stuff. Every outdoor brand really has got much better at making their stuff, look better, look more kind of on point style-wise and things. And so, like the outdoor industry in the UK is growing in terms of kind of sales and people coming into shops, but it's not more people going outdoors. It's more people stopping and going to places like Marks and Spencer's, and instead coming to outdoor shops because you can now get really good looking kit that performs as well. So it's a nice kind of
nice mix.
Ladies soft shell is the Turbulence jacket, 75 quid. And that's fully that flexure stretch fabric there. No fleece lining to it. So the idea with this, like what I do with mine, is it just lives in my outdoors pack. And spring, summer days, like when you get to the hills and you want a bit more wind protection you get from the fleece, you chuck that over the top. Water resistant as well, so it's got like chemical pads on the inside. So it's 125, 100, 75, 3 types of soft shells. And yeah, they'll all give you some level of weather protection.
So the women's don't have the equivalent of the
men's pass, no. It's a men's only jacket. We used to make it in ladies. Never sold.
Oh, really?
Never sold. A couple of fleeces. Actually, I've got a few fleeces from this in. The two worth talking about are Caribou Track and Performance Fleece. So Caribou Track, 75 quid retail, zips into the Jasper. So it's got the same system zip on it there. So if people come in and they want both the jacket and something to go on, they've got the Caribou Track just there.
That's nice.
And you can see it's kind of like this knitted look on the field of the fleece material there. 100% polyester, so insulated, lightweight, wicking and comfortable. But we just weave it in a different way in the factory to give you kind of that knitted style to it. Again, looks a bit less outdoorsy, looks a bit more like a cosy jumper than kind of a techie fleece. It's a 200 weight fleece fabric, so we've got a mid-weight fleece material, so lots of insulation for kind of the weight just there. And it's also, we call it bipolar weave, so if you have a look at the inside, you've got this really nice kind of soft, fluffy lining to it. So it feels really cosy against the skin, and then you've got that kind of knitted effect to the outside as well. So just two different finishes to give you a nice look, and then a nice comfortable warm finish to the inside bit there as well. So yeah, 75 quid, 55 quid on sale at the moment. And then the real one, which is just amazing at the price, like completely silly at the price, is the Performance Fleece. So retail is 45. Obviously, you guys put it on sale at 30. Last season it was 65 quid on retail. So it's already 20 quid less than it was last year, and you guys have got to take another 15 quid off for it right now. The reason it's a silly price is, even though it looks like just kind of a plain fleece fabric, so 100 weight micro fleece material, nice bit of insulation for spring summer, not too heavy, not too
warm. It's very light.
And it's got a bit of stretch to it, so it's a dynamic fleece, so good freedom of movement, extra bit of comfort there. The reason it's a crazy price is on the inside of the fleece, And the reason it's called the performance fleece is, see, you've got kind of a different fabric finish in there. It's actually our base layer fabric called QMC, so Quick Moisture Control. We're really bad at having good names for stuff. Like, there's nothing snappy about it at all. So you get all the insulation on the outside, the kind of cosy fleece feel, and then you get this incredibly absorbent layer next to your base layer. And the idea is spring, summer. You might want to pop the fleece on because it's breezy, it's just a bit of extra insulation. But you're still sweating, you're still active, and you're still producing more moisture than you would do in winter conditions. So you pop a base layer fabric on the inside of this, and it works in combination with whatever you've got next to skin to just really help pull that moisture out, help it evaporate. And the quicker it evaporates, the quicker it moves through your layering system. And so on hot but wet days, you pop a waterproof shell over the top. You're going to get sweaty. It doesn't matter how big the shell is, you're probably going to get sweaty in the spring, summer. So it's just another way of helping maintain that inner comfort and kind of that climate control there.
Nice.
So it's a super technical fleece.
I read the US size there.
But we kind of hide it, like, so we don't really call it that. But there is a reason it's called the performance jacket. And like, I looked at it as like 45 quid is a silly price for this. Like £30 is ridiculous. That's the same price as you can get like a fleece jacket from nearby less expensive competitors. So if people are coming in and they want like a technical fleece for spring, summer, while it's at that price, it's like a really good deal for them. And it's a really nice, comfortable material. It's anti-pill, so it doesn't bobble like kind of other fleeces do after a couple of washes.
Well, a lot going on for that.
Yeah.
I think you've almost sold it to me, man.
Winner. Like most of the kit that I've got, like I have a room in my house full of outdoor.
Yeah, of course you do.
Comes with the territory. And kind of over time, like I've worked for Jack Wolfskin for over 5.5 years now. And when I first started, I was just like, I don't need any Jack Wolfskin stuff. I've got like my Terex jacket. I've got all my nice stuff over here.
Oh, you've got Terex stuff.
Yeah. And gradually over time, like, it's amazing how many bits of Jack Wolfskin have kind of filtered their way into my actual outdoor kit. Like, I've got to wear it for work and stuff.
Of course.
But I picked up one of the performance fleeces a couple of years ago, and like, I've always got a go bag. So when I'm driving around doing the job, if I get an evening free, I'm like, I'm going to take a hill in. I've always got that in there. So it's it's just a really nice fleece for the price just there. So yeah, anywhere you see that nano label, it's always a polyester fleece, and then, like I say, there's just different constructions and different to it. But generally, what people should get something.
So what would you recommend? I imagine Jack Wolfskin do the base layers as well, like high wick and stuff.
We do, yeah, but any nice base layer. So
Are the ice pickers any good?
Merino wool's interesting. I have mixed thoughts on merino wool.
Yeah.
Really comfortable fabric. Like, merino's really comfortable. Performs really well. It's temperature regulating, so it's a really nice feature of it. It's not made from plastic, which I'm a big fan of. Like, most outdoor kit is not environmentally friendly. It's plastics.
Yeah, Paramore do good stuff about that as well.
So I like the fact it's from a renewable source. It's from sheep. The problem I have with merino is each season I go and buy a nice merino t-shirt and a nice merino long sleeve. Within about 5 minutes, I'll have caught it on my belt buckle, or I'll have like snagged it on a branch. And as soon as you put a hole in it, it just extends through the rest of the material. So for me, because like I'm usually climbing or mountaineering, so it's lots of sharp objects and it takes quite a lot of abuse.
Yeah.
It's not the best fabric for me for that. So I tend to prefer plastic-based layers, like synthetics for it. For travel, you can't beat merino. It's expensive, but there's a reason it's expensive.
Yeah. Is it good for when you're cold though? Or is it good? I mean, is it good for when you're hot, like if you're sweating?
It's better than plastics are. Well, it kind of is. The synthetics will wick more. So most companies tend to what they call a bicomponent weave. So the inside of synthetic base layer is designed to absorb the moisture, and the outside is designed to spread it. So you have absorbent and then non-absorbent. And when you spread the moisture, it evaporates more quickly. So they tend to work better and handle kind of moisture better. What synthetics don't have is the temperature regulation that you get from merino. Because I don't know if you've ever seen a picture of merino sheep, but they're the silliest creatures in the world when they've got a full fleece on. Spring, summer, they leave them in the lowlands, they leave them in the sun, and they have to develop a fleece that adapts to temperature. It's good with moisture, and it's designed for the real conditions. Winter time, they shove them up the mountain and get them as high up and as cold as they can. So then they have to change their fleece to develop it something that can deal with cold temperatures. So it turns into hollow fibres and stuff. So it's temperature regulation that you get with merino, which you don't tend to get with synthetics. It's quite a personal thing. Synthetics are cheaper, they are probably better for active use, like things where you're going to be sweating a lot. But for like hot temperatures and hot weather travel where you're maybe not quite so active, merino tends to be more comfortable.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
I've talked to you for ages. A couple of final things just to round off on, which will tie back into kind of what we started off with. The environmental side of things, like in the workbook there, it tells you a little bit at the start.
Are you leaving this with us?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, I dropped off a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
But,
I do like reading on my lunch.
like I say, there's no such thing as really an environmentally friendly outdoor product.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Everything you do, so plastics or cotton, you're still using lots of water to produce it. Plastics, obviously petrochemicals, there's a shipping and freight involved, lots of use of carbon. You have to use an incredible amount of water to dye and treat fabrics properly. You use fluorochlorides and silicons on the outside. There's nothing environmentally friendly about outdoor gear. If you hop onto like any outdoor kind of news website, you might see recently Greenpeace did a report.
Yeah.
Where they talked about Wolfskin, North Face, Mammoth, and I think it was the Rose the other brand was specifically named by Greenpeace as using what PFC's fluorocarbons in our outdoor gear. Absolutely true, we do use fluorocarbons in our outdoor gear. Fluorocarbons are not a great chemical because they tend not to proliferate too well. I can't remember if they're carcinogenic, they might be carcinogenic, and they leach into wastewater from factories like this. They don't, if you chuck your bag out and it's got PFCs in there, they will leach into the landfill. They're not a great chemical, we know this. We've been removing PFCs from our product range, so we're now 75% PFC free. The entire range. By 2020, we will be 100% PFC free from our product ranges. I was a bit annoyed about the Greenpeace report because we worked with Greenpeace to remove the PFCs, like there are advisors on it. So they targeted lots of outdoor brands they work with, and they didn't mention very cheap outdoor brands who have no environmental program and would be used for until the time ends. It's an issue. We've been working on it quite a lot. The idea for us is it's reduce, reuse, recycle. It's like 3 R's. And the first part, reduce, is the biggest thing that we focus on. And part of the idea is if you buy good quality outdoor kit from any good outdoor brand like us, TNF, Berghaus, Patagonia, Arc'teryx, good outdoor stuff, it should last you a long time. If it lasts you a long time, you buy less. If you buy less, it's fewer resources that get used in the production and shipping and transportation of buying everything for it. So, for us, making good quality gear is part of reducing our environmental footprint and kind of managing that side of it. Like I said, it goes to like all the foresting that we do, and like we buy solar energy for all our places and all this stuff. But it's a serious thing to kind of mention. More importantly than that, is going back to kind of the first thing we talked about, like not knowing the quality of the brand and kind of everything like that. On the back of every single logo of every single Jack Wolfskin product, you'll notice this little thing for the Fairwear Foundation, and they're an independent NGO who go and audit our factories where we produce goods, and they've got a set of 9 criteria they look at, so making sure we pay people a living wage, making sure there's no child labour involved, making sure there's canteens, there's health and safety laws, people's got rights to unionise and complain. It's a whole checklist they go through. They turn up twice a year unannounced, and they publish a report on us every year, which you can get from their website or you can get from our website, and it details the good and the bad of kind of the production process. So you get fair trade, and fair trade looks at where you grow stuff, so like coffee plantations or cotton plantations. This looks specifically at the manufacturing of it. There's a couple of nice things about Fairwear Foundation. Number one is that they're independent. When you go and do an internal audit, it's very easy not to look for stuff. So it's easy not to go and find the bad labour practices because they'll reflect back on your company. These guys are independent, we can't control them. They go and do what they want to do and say what they want to say. We recently were awarded the Eco Achievement Award with Fairwear Foundation. We got an Eco Achievement Award with ISPO Trade Fair, so we're quite serious about looking at it. I wish I could say that we were with Fairwear Foundation just because we're nice guys who want to give the world a hug, but actually it comes back down to the idea of quality. So whilst it's a nice byproduct that I know that like there's no child labour involved, but all our factories are well run and kind of well managed, it comes back to the idea that if you're turning up for work and you're tired because you've had to work excessive overtime because the factory's not run properly, you work in an unsafe environment which isn't lit properly, you're stressed because you don't get paid enough, or there's no childcare facilities, you can't safely complain about problems to management, you produce less good quality gear. There's a price premium involved. It's more expensive for us to produce with better factories than it is to produce with cheaper factories.
Sure.
The flip side of that means that when the stuff arrives in the store, we know the quality that's been produced, we've controlled that, and we know that what you guys are getting is high quality gear that justifies the price that we put on it. So what you should see are very few returns from us. There's always one or two which will come back, but our returns rate is about 0.05%. So for every 1,000 products we sell, it's like one or two that come back to us. So it's good quality kit. And like I say, the Fairwear Foundation it's nice that it's a positive thing. We have good working conditions everywhere we produce, but it's even better that it means that when people buy from us, they're buying something that lasts a long time. So yeah.
Sounds better than TNF. Saying that, I haven't heard the training from there.
To be fair, taking the Jack Wolfskin hat for a sec, most good outdoor brands are really good on this. I'm not sure if it's because of the industry and like we like friendly outdoorsy people anyway, but environmentally and on like production side, most outdoor brands are pretty good. Scandinavian brands and German brands tend to be the best because it's a selling point for the brand over there, more so than it is over here. But TNF will have things like responsible downsourcing, they'll control their like production processes. I think Berghaus internally audit, but they've definitely got an auditing process in there. It's the nice thing about the industry, most good quality outdoor brands are really hot on that side of things. Certain stores which sell cheap outdoor gear are not so hot on it, which is one of the reasons that you get this price difference there. It's not just the quality of the goods, it's the quality of the manufacturing and the quality of the workplace as well. So it's a nice thing for like you guys in Cotswolds and all these stores is what you're selling has been produced well in good factories. So,
yeah, cool.
Awesome, mate. I'm sorry. When I get going, I just completely get going with it. Have you got like any questions? Is there anything else like I can cover that's worthwhile kind of talking about?
We don't have.